Hi everyone, welcome. Well, you might be asking, hey, what do we got going on over here? Well, these are my yellow buckets, number 3, 4, and 5 over on the side. Well, before we get started, I thought I'd share a few little bits of info about these systems with you. They're European night crawlers living in these buckets. Now, for 90 days, our last check-in 12 days ago, set them up with feeding number 7. So what we're coming in with today is feeding number 8, which is a nice collection of stuff out of my freezer. Yum yum. And I've got bedding and grit and a variety of other things on the side to help us get the job done. So let's get started. There's something about working down within these buckets. It always feels like there's a good amount of moisture down there. It almost seems like it's sort of protected by being really down low and having these big side walls. So yeah, the moisture feels just right. And I mean, once we put in a whole bunch of frozen leafy matter, once that stuff starts to thaw out and break down, it's going to expel moisture. And man, look at all these beautiful castings piling up. All right. I feel corn cobs. In this system, we're running corn cobs that are a little bit different from the usual corn cobs. Corn cobs are usually just thrown in as is, perhaps frozen. But in the case of these corn cobs, these systems got fed once upon a time, a few feedings ago now, but not very long ago. Stuff that was soaked for quite some time, and then maybe even frozen after having been soaked. So the idea with that was that, you know, we do observe how freezing foods, in certain cases, definitely helps the vegetable matter, whatever it may be that we're freezing. It seems like the thawing out process, or maybe the freezing and the thawing processes, both contribute to the material seeming to be a lot quicker to break down in the worm bins, possibly helping the material become such that the worms can begin feasting on it a lot more readily than if it had not been frozen. So I don't know. One way or another, it does seem like it helped. So I prepared a few pieces of newspaper that I thought we could throw down into the feeding zone. I'm going to complement that with a little bit of my prepared bedding. And I got some stuff here which I'm going to try to do away with. I took some peanut shells. I was nibbling on peanuts for a couple days, and then I figured perhaps if I were to pulverize the peanut shells and come up with this kind of powdery dust or whatever, then maybe the worms can do away with it. Because if you ever tried composting peanut shells in your worm bin, you'll know that this stuff will just sit there, you know, for ages and seemingly never break down. So I was just trying to divvy out the food portion evenly. And what I threw in there was a little bit of pulverized eggshell to help with the digestion process. Oh yeah, let's not forget to get these corn cob bits back down into the feeding area too. And there was a banana peel stem here too that I encountered along the way. So yeah, things look really nice. So for each system, I tore a sheet of newspaper in half, thinking that one of the sheets can go down as part of the supplementary bedding to complement the feeding. But then I also thought that perhaps having one out here on the surface right beneath the lovely bubble wrap might help provide them with even more protection against moisture being lost to evaporation. I mean, of all my systems, it definitely feels like this is one of the better ones in terms of how the material feels moisture-wise. So I think we're in good shape, but hey, you can never go wrong with what you might initially perceive to be possibly, I don't know, too much bedding. It's probably a good amount. So this is now bucket number, let's see, 1, 2, the other one we just did was 3. This is 4. And is that right? Bucket number 4, yeah. Bucket number 4 and 5 coming up next should be very similar to what we just saw. And now I feel like we can maybe pick up the pace a little bit and not be so exploratory as we were before, except, you know, I like to identify and call out differences. So you might have saw me detach the stem of the banana peel from the rest of the peel, but here's some of what remains of the banana peel they got last time 12 days ago. So I don't think we saw that in bucket number 3. Here in bucket number 4, it does seem like the banana peel's taking a little bit longer to break down, and who knows what's influencing that. There's not a huge bit of difference if you ask me. You know, both systems still have the banana stem, which is completely normal. A little bit of peel left over here and there, and there's always, I guess, the possibility that we just failed to bump into it last time. That could just be the reason we didn't notice it last time, that maybe it was there and we just sort of breezed right by it. So corn cob in these systems, you know, I don't want to go out of my way to try breaking them up a great deal. I guess I am sort of interested in seeing how the preparation they got with the soaking and freezing too, I believe. The idea would be to see if they just, you know, managed to break down on their own more quickly this way, or whether maybe it just makes even no difference. I would find that hard to believe. To me, it just does seem like freezing is almost always going to cause a little bit of a boost to the breakdown process. So I guess we'll just have to see. More crushed peanut shells. I don't want to go too overboard with the crushed peanut shells. I've done it in the past where I've, you know, taken crushed peanut shells and given it to the worms this way, and it always seemed like it vanished pretty quickly. 1, 2, 3. So I would expect more of the same here. And some more leftovers. Let's not forget to get the leftovers back down into the feeding area. So we can get things covered up. And okay, let's not forget we were going to treat each system to not just a nice big piece of newspaper down in the feeding zone, but also a nice supplementary top covering, what might actually help us see even greater worm activity even out on the surface with increased moisture being retained, possibly. So I don't know, we'll have to see. Seems like this little wormy over here might have been on my glove or something, or on the bubble wrap. Let's help them get back down there. This worries me a little bit sometimes, putting the dry down like this and then the bubble wrap on top. Maybe that bubble wrap has some little wormies hanging out on it, suddenly getting placed onto something super dry. So let's see, 3, 4, this is bucket number 5. We're done once we're finished feeding these little guys. And it's probably fair to assume that we can expect more of the same as what we saw in the other systems. Good moisture content, nice castings piling up, some leftovers from last time, or not. I mean, we'll probably find a banana stem in here, but we're almost 100% certain gonna find the corn cobs that were put in here only, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 feedings ago, 3 or 4 feedings ago. It's hard to say. So definitely encountered numerous corn cob bits. And here's the stem of a banana, but not much to see as far as whether or not it's even here, any of the actual banana peel. So perhaps it was just something to do with the second bin that we fed. Bin number 4 over there, where the banana peel seemed to be taking a little bit longer, because in both other systems it seems to have been consumed quite nicely at this point. Alright, so I think we got ourselves a pretty nice little arrangement here of different types of bedding to complement their yummy meal. And at this point, I'm just always curious if I've somehow omitted something, trying to reproduce the same basic feeding 3 times over in 3 systems equally. Sometimes I wonder if I've forgotten to include a certain step. but we somehow always manage to catch ourselves before we goof up. So bringing the leftovers back down into the feeding zone is something I like to do. So we're doing that with the corn cobs, trying to keep the corn cobs, you know, right where the action's going to be for the most part, to see if possibly by doing so we help the system break that stuff down, you know, keeping the old slow composting foods right where all the freshly applied new foods are, to maybe, you know, increase the possible encounters between foods and the wormies. So that's it for our check-in with the now 90-day-old European Nightcrawler worm buckets. Doing really nice down here, and a nice little bedding boost to go with their feeding today. So that's it for the video, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.